going on, hobby family? It is your boy K-Dub. This is K-Dub's High Five, 5 rapid fire questions with your favorite hobby faces. And today I bring in one of my Twitter favorite personalities. You probably know him as Sports Card Mayweather at Slab Mafia Sports. My friend Rohan, how you doing today, man?
Hey, how's it going? Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, man, I appreciate you being willing to do it, man. I see you all the time on Twitter, man. I love your takes. I love your style. So I figured it'd be fun to do a little interview and learn a little bit more about you as a collector. So how's it sound?
Sounds amazing. Appreciate you having me again, man.
Sweet, man. Well, how it works, I got 5 questions, all hobby related. I'm going to throw them at you one right after another. Ready to take on the high five?
Awesome. Let's go.
All right, man. First question. You are the sports card Mayweather, but maybe not everyone on the YouTube or maybe even on Twitter kind of knows that. Kind of how would you describe kind of your personality in the social media world, or your kind of how would you define kind of your role a little bit when it comes to the hobby community?
I think I like the way you put it, role in the hobby community. I think if I had to use one word to describe my role, it's, just to have fun, make things lighthearted and add a little joy to people's otherwise stressful days. I call myself the sports card Mayweather because we don't take losses where I'm from. So I'm undefeated, and so is Floyd Mayweather. But honestly, the more I think about it, I've taken more dubs than he has. So they should be calling him Boxing Rohan, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah,
Oh,
my daily hobby schedule goes as either grading cards for people or post it on Twitter, or if I have a little bit of extra time, I'll sell some stuff. But
gotcha.
yeah.
Gotcha, man. Gotcha. And when did you kind of bring about this sports card Mayweather mindset? I mean, how does that come about in your like collecting life?
Well, I guess so. One day, me and some buddies were just eating dinner, and then one of my buddies was like, when you're at these card shows eating dinner, it's like you're constantly still doing deals with cards, right? You
Hmm.
never know, you might sell a slab at the table. And so I had a card. I think it was like a $1,100 card, and I think my cost was like 1,950, something like that. And then my buddy was like, and then I told my buddy, I was like, yeah, my cost is like this. And then he was like, hey, sometimes it's okay to take losses. I'm like, not for me, man. I'm sports car Mayweather. And then he was like, yo, is maybe that should be an IG name. And I was like, nah, not an IG name, but we'll throw it up there and have some fun with it. And then ever since then, I started joking about it more and more. And then it turned into a whole, persona. And, that's when it started to become a really good thing for marketing, I guess.
Sure, for sure. Well, I mean, I know that's how you and I started connecting, was just kind of our back and forth on Twitter based on the sports card Mayweather mindset. So I'd
You're
say
right. It's awesome.
I say it's doing its job, man. It's doing its job. So, all right, man. Well, second
So,
question for you. When you think about sports cards, like collecting sports cards, I know that you're into kind of the buying and the selling as well. Who would you say have been kind of your big influences in your life when it comes to your either your own personal collecting or the business side of the hobby?
you're saying like people that have, taught me a lot, then
Yeah,
that got
yeah,
me here.
yeah. People who have influenced you, like people who kind of either you looked up to or maybe got you into that side of the hobby or got you into collecting as a whole.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So I definitely give Kyle Robertson, that makes the Dallas Card Show. I give him a lot of credit for, me having this gig and doing what I'm doing right now. When I first started on, in the hobby, his show was the first show that I ever went to when I got back in.
Okay.
And when my car originally wrecked and I couldn't do Uber Eats anymore, he actually offered me a job, which while I was working underneath him, I learned a lot about the hobby, learned a lot of ins and outs, which if I didn't have that, in addition to my knowledge collected as a kid,
Mm,
I definitely would not have had the smooth sailing start that I did when I started going full time in the hobby.
for sure.
So Robertson for one. A couple of other people that I just met at the Dallas Card Show. Eric Myers at Howley Hustle on Instagram, and Kashik, that I believe is now working for Alt. His Instagram is the Iron Sheik.
Okay.
Just guys and many more that taught me a lot early on. Where there was a point where I remember distinctively, I was actually thinking about this earlier today. Kashik was at the Dallas Card Show, and he was just saying hi to me, and I was like, "Yo, I just did this deal," and he's like, "Nice, man." And so we talked about that, and I told him, my goal at the show was just to make $150 at that show. because, at the time my goal in life was to make $150 every single day. And then, I'd be, doing my thing. Cause at that point was after I left the Dallas card show, I was hustling, doing my own thing.
Gotcha.
And so he kind of, gave me a strategy as far as trading goes and, just thinking above that $150. So I
Okay.
owe a lot of, my success to him as well.
Right on, man. Right on. Well, I don't do Instagram, but shout out those dudes. For sure. It's cool to hear that those dudes kind of took you under their wing a little bit. So very neat, very neat. So
Very nice
uh,
of them.
all right, man. Well, let's talk about collecting for you. When you think about the Grail item for you or the Grail card for you, what's a card that you've always wanted, and why is that?
If money was not a thing, if
Not,
every single
not
card was worth $1, I would have to say Yao Ming's logo man. That would be a really sick card to own. So
okay.
I collect Yao Ming and Jason Tatum a lot. I would pick either Jason Tatum's logo man or Yao Ming's logo man. I already own Jaylen Brown, so I don't need that one. But
Okay.
as a Celtics fan, I really like those two players. And with Yao Ming, I've owned a lot of cool Yao Ming cards. Honestly, there isn't really a clear-cut reason why I started collecting Yao Ming stuff, but it's once you start, it's like, hey, I'm already been doing it. Why not just grab the best one?
So how long have you been collecting Yao Ming for?
I'd say like 2 years.
Okay.
Honestly, it kind of started as a joke, but then I started to really pick up a bunch of his grails, and it's like, for the price of, one of Yao Ming's probably like top 20 cards, I'd barely be able to grab a LeBron Topps Chrome. So why not?
I got you. No, it makes
Yeah.
it makes total sense. And I mean, honestly, Yao Ming was kind of a huge deal in the NBA when he came in. I mean, he was the first ever #1 draft pick as a Chinese player to come to the United States and play. So I know it was huge. It was a big deal. I remember it when he came and was drafted. It was a huge deal. So that's cool, man.
In
That's
some ways, it's kind of like the Babe Ruth of China, which that's
yeah,
why, that's one of the reasons why I started taking it a little bit more seriously and investing a lot into Yao Ming's market.
for
That being
sure.
said, I have liquidated about half of the Yao Mings that I did own at one point, but at some point I do plan on buying back in.
That's great, man. That's great. I believe it or not, I had a Yao Ming poster in my college dorm room. I don't know why. Like, I had a lot of love for the guy, man. I had a lot of love and respect for him, and so I always said I wanted people on my wall that I respected, and I put a Yao Ming poster on my wall in college. So very cool. That's neat, man.
He's also one of the most OP players in 2K. I don't know if he is anymore, but because I haven't played the game in like 2 or 3 years. But I used to play semi-competitively in college,
Okay.
and Yao Ming was close to unstoppable.
Oh, well, I believe it, man. I believe it. All right, well, let's get to the product, man. Question number 4. All the money in the world, right? Money not an option. You get your hands on one box. What box are you ripping open and why?
Oath Exquisite, just because it has all of my favorite players
Okay.
and because I love the Exquisite set.
Okay.
I would say either Oath Exquisite or 2012 Select.
Okay.
2012
Are we talking
because
hoops? Basketball?
yeah, hoops
Okay.
only. I had to pick another sport. I would. This one's weird, but Score Football 2013, just because I remember the summer of 2013. That was the only product on Walmart shelves, and me and my best friend at the time, all of our money just went straight to ripping those packs, looking for cards,
Oh,
and
for sure.
never put anything good because it was retail. But it is what it is.
And unfortunately, 2013 was not the best class to be ripping anyway. But I do
Yeah.
remember Score Football had really neat rookie cards. I really liked their rookie card layout. They had the green border and then the picture of the player's face on there. So I think I got a Cordell Patterson.
To the Hot 100 a lot. I remember that. We collected the Hot 100. Actually, no, now that I think about that product a little bit more, that same year for my birthday, one of my friends got me a blaster. And inside that blaster, I pulled my first ever 1 of 1. It was Eric Berry 1 of 1. And I remember I sold it for $100 the next year. That's a core memory right there.
and that at that point you felt like a millionaire, I bet.
No, actually, no.
Oh man,
I didn't.
I remember I sold my first 1-on-1 for $50, and I thought I just made $1 million. I was like, I was on cloud 9, man. I was like, wife, we're going out to dinner tonight. It's on me.
Yeah, that money went straight to basketball shoes. But I mean, not a bad thing to spend the money on, when you're a 14, 15-year-old kid playing basketball.
Oh, absolutely, man. Get yourself a nice pair of days for that.
exactly.
Oh, all right, man. Well, last question for you here. I know that you do a lot more than me anyway when it comes to kind of the buying, the selling, and also the grading. I know there's a lot of kind of newcomers into the hobby, and I know I get a lot of questions about how to go about buying, how to go about selling, and the grading process. What kind of advice would you give to someone who's new to the hobby, kind of looking to get into the buying and selling idea, and then also kind of talk to me a little bit about the grading piece to card value and buying and selling in that area. Is that a little too much?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I was gonna say there's two steps or two things that I'll really recommend more than anything. Number one, learn how to grade. I think that's the easiest way to elevate in this industry. You can pay full comps, you can pay a little bit higher than comps, and you can still make money doing it. So I think everyone needs to learn how to grade at some point.
Yeah.
The second thing I would say is make having recurring buyers and sellers your second priority, as making money will be your first. 99% of my business comes from people I've either bought from or sold to in the past. And the reason why is because you want to put yourself in a position where you don't have to spend so much effort trying to deal with new people. If you're dealing with the same people, your prices are fair, you're buying at a fair margin where you still leave room for yourself, but you're not completely bending the other person over. It's going to make your life 1,000 times easier, to the point where now when I go to a card show, I just go to the same tables every single time, buy out my entire inventory, post it up on social media, and for the most part, it's going to the same people every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that makes total sense. So, talk to me a little bit about like how you approach a card table, because I don't do card shows, but like when you go into a card show, or you're maybe running your own table, like what's your mindset as you go into that?
So when I'm running my own table, it's kind of just, you want to be polite to whoever's approaching you.
Yeah.
You want to try and work with them as much as you can. Be as transparent as possible. If you can't do a certain number because it's lower than your cost, or you can't do something because you don't have the clientele for a certain card, be
Mhm.
upfront with that to them, because the easiest thing that you can do is just communicate that to them. And that way y'all can both try and find something together that'll work for both parties.
Yeah.
So I guess that's all to say from a standpoint of if you're behind the table. If you're approaching a table, kind of on that same note, just like, be upfront about what you're looking for. If you're looking for a certain card for PC or for investment sake, tell them that's what you're looking for. If you're looking for stuff to flip, let them know like, hey, this is what I want to pay. This is what I'm looking to buy. Be upfront about that from the beginning, as opposed to just picking out a bunch of cards and then just throwing a number, because if they get insulted by that number, now that's time gone in both of y'all's hands, right?
Yeah,
Whereas if you
I gotcha.
you approach them and say, hey, I'm looking for wholesale inventory, and they just straight up tell you no, it's okay, cool, on to the next table.
For sure, for sure. No, and I appreciate that insight. I've never actually done a card show before, and it's fun to talk to people who do that, and then also to give advice for people, because I know people who check this out, they might be checking out a card show for the first time, so it's nice to be able to throw some advice their way as far as like how to go about approaching a table, or how to go about making a deal at a card show. So, good work, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. All right, I got a bonus question, Mayweather. I need you to get your Mayweather hat on right now. You can have I give you 100 grand and you don't sell a car for 3 years. You can have B, you take a loss for 1 year, but then for 2 years you make 200, or you make 300K. Or for C, for 3 years you sell $200,000 worth of cards and you win every time. Which one are you picking?
I mean, it sounds like C, no brainer. I make more money and I get more cards. Like,
No, no, C, you get
yeah,
100K less.
oh
So
yeah, no, I'm taking. It's not about the money. It's about greatness.
I just found the tagline for this video right there. It's not about money, it's about greatness. I love it, man. I love it. All right, bro. We cleared the list. We got a high five at the end of high five. Throw it up right there. Slap it up. Boom.
Yeah.
You can follow my man on Twitter and Instagram. It's at Slab Mafia Sports. He also does grading submission stuff as well. So feel free to hit him up if you have any questions about that. Make sure to check that out. Please subscribe to the channel. Also follow me on Twitter at Mr. K-Dub. Big shout out to the high five endorsers this year: Rack of the Day, Eric Hecker, and Buck City Breaks. Bro, I appreciate your insight, man. Like I said, I feel like we're kind of on two different sides of the hobby, and it's really fun to kind of hear your perspectives and hear your takes, and actually taught me a few things. So thanks so much for joining me, man.
Of course. Glad I could help.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Y'all be the good in the world. We'll catch y'all next time on the next high five.